So in this video we're going to look at how to convert fractions into decimals and also how to convert a recurring decimal into a fraction. Let's start with this question here. Why is 2/5 equal to 0.4? Well, if we start with the 2/5, we know an equivalent fraction to 2/5 would be 4/10, and that is just 4/10, and we know that 4/10 is 0.4. A good check for this is you could just do the short division method here. How many 5s go into 2? Just put an extra 0 in there. So 5 does not go into 2, you carry the 2, 5 goes into 20 4 times, just confirming it's 0.4. There are some key fractions to decimals that you really need to know, and I'm sure that you know many of these already. So the first one will be a half. Well, I'm sure that you know a half is 0.5. Now let's look at a half of a half. Well, that's a quarter. So a half of the half is 0.25. Let's look at 3/4. Well, that is a half plus a quarter. If you add those two together, you get 0.75. Now looking at a third. Well, a third is 0.3 recurring. And then doubling that, so you get 2/3. Well, that is 0.6 recurring. The last one I'd finish off with here that really you ought to know is 1/5. And 1/5 is 0.2. Just an aside, if you know that 1/5 is 0.2, 2/5 would be 0.4, 3/5 0.6, 4/5 0.8. We've converted these fractions into decimals, but what we need to recognise is it goes both ways. So actually 0.5 is a half, 0.25 is a quarter, and so on. To take this further, we can put these into a percentage format. Half is the same as saying 50% of something. A quarter is the same as saying 25% of something. 3/4, 75% of something. A third, that is a 33 and a third percent of something. 2/3, that is 66 and 2/3 as a percent of something. And finally 1/5 is just 20%, making 2/5 40%, 3/5 60%, and so on. It's really helpful if you try and remember these. Okay, so how do I convert a fraction into a decimal? Let's have a go at this question here. How do I convert 1/9 into a decimal? You need to remember that that fraction bar just means divide. That is the same as saying how many 9s fit into 1. Let's put a few extra zeros here. So 9 does not fit into 1, carry the 1. 9 fits into 10 once, remainder 1. 9 fits into 10 once, remainder 1. And again, 9 fits into 10 once, remainder 1, and that would carry on. So we would have 0.111 continuing. We would rewrite that as 0.1 recurring. Now, if you were asked at this point here, what is 3/9? Well, if 1/9 is 0.1 recurring, 3/9 is just 0.3 recurring. Now, we don't always do this. There are other ways of converting fractions into decimals. So if we look at this question here, 13/50. Now I could do how many 50s go into 13 and use the short division method. But in this case, it's much easier if actually I multiply this up to out of 100. So if I have doubled this fraction, I get 26 out of 100. That's 26%. That's the same as saying 0.26. So sometimes it's easier making the denominator out of 10 or 100 or 1,000 and then finding what tenths, hundreds, thousands that you have. Similar question here, 1/25. Well, actually that is the same as saying 4/100. Same principle. That is 4/100, so that's 0.04. Let's just finish with an awkward one, 7/16. I'm not going to try and put that out of 100. I know that I'm going to do how many 16s fit into 7. I'm going to put a number of zeros in there to help me. Before I start, what I would do here is I'd probably write the 16 times table out. Okay, so I've written the 16 times table out here. Now I'll start working through this. 16 doesn't go into 7, so I carry the 7. 16 goes into 70. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. The difference between 70 and 64 is 6, so I carry the 6. 16 goes into 60. 1, 2, 3 times. The difference between 60 and 48 is 12. 16 goes into 120. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Difference between 120 and 112 is 8. So I need to carry another 0 here. 16 goes into 80. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and there's no remainder there. So now I get 0.4375. So that's it. There's your different ways of converting fractions into decimals. So we're going to finish with looking at how we turn a recurring decimal into a fraction. So looking at this question here, how does 0.73 equal 73/99? The way of doing this is actually allocating a letter to this value. So we're going to say, in this case, let f for fraction equal 0.73 recurring. Notice they're both recurring. So If 1f is 0.73 recurring, 100 lots of f would equal 73.737373 and so on. The point of doing this is trying to eradicate the decimal completely. I'm trying to get an integer on this side here. Now, to get rid of that decimal, all I do is take away the value of 1f. So if I have 100f and take away 1f, I'm left with 99 lots of f. If I have 73.73 recurring minus 0.73 recurring, I'm left with 73. So now the value of f is equal to 73 over 99, just by dividing both sides by 99. So that's why 0.73 recurring is equal to 73 over 99. So in this second question here, we're going to change 0.2 to 2 over 9. We use the same process. We're going to let f, the fraction, equal 0.2 recurring. Now this time, we don't multiply by 100. We can, but we don't need to. We're going to multiply by 10. So we're going to say, well, if 1f is 0.2, 10 lots of f is 2.2 recurring. The reason for only needing to multiply by 10 is I know that 2.2 recurring minus 0.2 recurring will give me an integer. So then take away 1f from this side, I'm left with 9 lots of f, and that leaves me with 2, because 2.2 minus 0.2 is 2. Divide both sides by 9, therefore f is equal to 2 over 9. We have now changed that recurring decimal into this fraction. So to finish off, the key thing is you are aiming to get rid of the decimals. As always, if you've got something out of this, please like and subscribe. The next video is on calculating with algebraic fractions.